taken on the list already. I have 7 o'clock, I call this meeting of the Board of Aldermen order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Borman. Alderman Hudson.
Here.
Alderman Lee.
Here.
Alderman Magley.
Yeah.
Alderman Rogers. Alderman Wilkins.
All right, I did have a text from Alderman Wilkins, who was about 15 minutes late or so. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, consent agenda is in your packet.
Was there anything in the consent agenda that was in the updated one?
The financial statements.
I have a question.
Okay,
Did we do 112 hours of snow removal in September?
No, did not.
yeah,
I must have been coded wrong.
I kind of felt that.
I'll just send some help up till that. Oops.
Might do it next month.
No,
By your
not in November. Please. It's not till after the 17th.
Well, other than that, I would move that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as corrected. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Accounts payable over 1250. We don't take that on.
Still trying to get
All right, let's start page 78. We've been getting any complaints from Danes, waste disposal?
About things?
Yeah. About
Yes.
their starting hours and stuff.
Yes, that they're coming early again.
Yeah.
I can contact them and let them know.
Okay. And, looks like Mike did find a trailer, so.
Yes,
Pick that trailer up and
he did find a trailer. I have it on the agenda under purchasing to approve
Okay.
the total amount of the trailer.
Okay. Any other questions on accounts payable over 1250?
Didn't Miko over, Mega Meadows?
Yes.
Do we have any conditions in there to go after them for the engineering errors and stuff, or the additional expenses that we are incurring because they made mistakes?
I don't know that we're incurring additional expenses.
Thought we were incurring expenses that were outside of the scope of the project because they didn't do the drawings, like driveway changes that needed to be done and other things. I know,
From when I talked to Mike, I didn't think that we were, that they were gonna be able to fix those things without extra costs to us, but I'll double check on that.
you know, my conversation has been on the side of the road type thing while I was driving through, so.
Okay.
Well, I had talked to Mike, and he was not very pleased with a few of the things. I don't know that any extra expense was incurred, but it was a matter of the things weren't shown on the plans properly. But they were able to work it out with the contractor to get it done. I don't know if they incurred any additional expense though.
And I know we had to take on some as a city that I don't know we were planning on.
Yeah,
That's
think,
why I think we need to-
Phil and his crew went over and fixed one of those, I think, I don't remember.
Yep.
I talked to Mike about it too, so.
My direct neighbors to the north.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we would have errors of emission insurance, should fall under that. The question is it worth pursuing? It may not be enough to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
And you understand the
I
cost
mean,
impact.
and there usually are some change orders that happen in the field. But from what I understand, this was stuff that should have probably been on the plans,
Mhm.
the way I understood it.
That's. what I
That was the way it was expressed to me, which is why I'm bringing it up. We're incurring additional costs.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the accounts payable over $1,250 for a total of $631,145.45.
Sorry. I have a motion second to approve accounts payable in the amount of $631,145.45. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Discussions regarding Randolph Road.
So, per your request, I went through all of the minutes from all 3 different meetings, dating back to, it looks like it started June 5th, 2017. And I've copied any sections where there was discussion about Randolph Road, so you have that in your packet. I also have the memo, there's a memo that's referenced in that packet that was given out on July 17th, 2017. We also have representatives here with Mineral RPC and Economic Development for our CDBG grant, Ryan Reed, Lincoln Brown, and David Bach. And so if you have questions regarding the grant itself, they're here to answer those questions.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
One suggestion after our meeting the other day that I received from Zach Thomas with Engineering Surveys and Services. He said that we could give 2 options: reduce the standard road cross-section to 26 inches wide with curb and gutters. It would
26 feet?
Yes, 26 feet, yes, it does say feet. It would reduce the road width by 12 feet, providing savings on concrete pavement. It would hopefully meet Mr. Fink's expectation of paved roads with curb and gutters. Keep in mind that the road would have to widen at both ends to accommodate the turning movements of the large trucks and trailers. On option 2, reduce the standard road cross-section to 24 feet with no curb and gutters. Drainage would be via roadside swales. This would reduce the road width by 14 feet, providing even more additional savings over option 1. It would meet Mr. Fink's expectation of a paved road, but does not include curb and gutters. Again, it would have to widen at both ends for turning movements.
So what's the width on it supposed to be now?
26, I think.
No,
38 feet?
I think it's, I think it was,
38
it must have
feet.
been 38 because it says that. So I did ask him to get us those, cost for those 2 options as well. From our understanding, we do not have to do complete pavement, or concrete pavement with curb and gutter in order to still receive the grant.
What would be acceptable?
Any of the options that we had originally discussed, I think any that were listed in this, this memo.
Did you so we brought with us copies of what was included in the application, if you'd like those handouts.
Your narrow, is that acceptable for 28 feet, even though the grant talked
26.
about, or 26 feet, even though the grant?
Yeah.
You said 38?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's gonna, it's not necessarily a change in the
The selected alternatives are on
the
the
outcome of the project. Like, he went from, yeah,
I think, to me, the intent is still
yeah, it's the same
improve
intent
access
as
for
that
the
road.
company, and so
Yeah.
I think,
that we were still a little hesitant on going to gravel. I mean, our original understanding is that it was gonna be a paved road. Yeah. So
well,
that might be the only thing that might be hesitant on? Depending on any, because you're gonna have heavy trucks going down this road, correct?
Yes.
You want gravel, a gravel road, correct?
This was what was included though, that's
Yeah, I
what we
saw
marked,
that.
and that's the one that's the aggregate.
Yeah.
So we did have that in the application as an option.
It is an option, yeah.
The question I guess I have is,
Okay.
have you gotten a quote on asphalt instead of, like, so cement curb and gutters, but then asphalt for the paving instead of cement? Because I know that was one of the cost estimates that was in, which I hadn't seen, and I didn't know if you'd received an estimate from the engineer on that.
Well, I believe we initially did back, I mean, it's over a year ago.
It was closer, I think, to the scope of the project, I believe.
Well, typically speaking, you're not gonna save that much money on, between asphalt and concrete. And when you've got trucks out there, I would much rather see concrete, because asphalt does
Okay.
deteriorate rather rapidly when people are stopping and, starting on it. My personal opinion. I definitely do not like the idea of a 26 foot wide street with curb and gutter, because our standards call for a 38-foot street. This is a commercial area, that's what's standard in a commercial area. If we pick something other than what we've got, I'd much rather see a 24-foot, no curb and gutter, because then you can add additional lawn to it to make out the full width at a later date.
Right.
Would that be acceptable?
It's gonna come down to your engineering, signing off on that, what they're gonna be comfortable with.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I am basically just a funding source. I do not have an engineering degree. I'm not here to build a road for you.
Why not?
We can say, I didn't want to pay that much in student loans.
Right.
But what I can say is that we're not here to break a community by building a road. Want to make sure it's something, first off, it's to your standards though, because you guys are going to have to live with this. You know, yeah, we'll accept as long as an engineer will sign off on it, and the council will sign off. We want this to be, this has got to be green skill for everybody.
Right.
This isn't just CDG giving its rubber stamp on it.
Well, I mean, to me, there's two options that I would find acceptable other than a 38-foot wide road. One would be to go 24 foot down the middle of it. You could add on more concrete and then the curb and gutter at a later date. That could be done very easily. The other option would be to go with half the width of the road all the way through paved and then put some gravel on the other side. It's not quite wide enough for two vehicles on the concrete to get by there. Well, it really is, but not at a very fast rate of speed.
Right.
The curb, you know, so they would, but on the other hand, I don't expect that much traffic on it, so there's not gonna be much people meeting each other either.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that would be right or not, but to me, then you've got half of it in and the other half can be put in at a later date.
I think we ought to do the 38-foot wide with curb and gutter up to at least Remington. Then we can go down to the narrower road up to the Sphinx operation.
And then you're gonna cut it out. That's gonna be the more expensive part of putting in the curb and gutter on both sides. I mean, I would recommend putting in curb and gutter for a short section right there at Remington and Garden.
Yeah.
But just on the one side of it, if you go with the 24 foot.
Yeah.
When you look at the memo,
I did it the whole way.
staff recommendation was for concrete to Remington and
I
gravel
think
the
it's
rest.
something to work with. I mean, again, like I said, we're not.
Having skimmed the notes, because we got these,
We might.
like,
Yeah.
everything
What I would do is I'd have them.
I don't see
write up
anything
what they're gonna
disagreeing
put.
with that staff recommendation after the date of the memo, unless I'm missing it,
I did not find anything
so.
Basically, what I see what it comes down to is, we promised this business owner that it would be a hard surface property.
Right.
We may not have ourselves, but the last city administrator promised it'd be a hard surface basis. So there, we have to come up with a thing to figure out how to make him happy.
Actually, it was promised even before that. It was promised back in 2000.
By a handshake. and a handshake is nothing. I've heard that by 23 people that it was promised by a handshake, and a handshake is nothing.
And I hear what you're saying, Landon, but that promise that was made, the person didn't have the authority to make that promise.
I understand that. But here he's coming to us, telling us that you all promised. We didn't promise him that. But he's coming to us. That guy that promised him is no longer here. But he promised, he said we, as a board, promised him that it would be a hard service road.
Well, when he was sold the property, he was told that the city would put in the Randolph Road. Money was put in escrow for that, so it was more than a promise back then. And he was told that there would be a hard surface road back there at some point.
At some point. Good. Do we know what the 24-foot wide road is?
He did not give me those, figures yet, but, I mean, if you wanna go off of that memo from July of 17, it says a center of 20 feet concrete with gravel shoulders. The project was $683,000.
My guess is it's somewhat less than that.
Yeah, these bids that have come in seem high to me.
Well, they're not bids, they're just
Well,
estimates.
estimates. These estimates that come in seem
And then
high
we're
to
really
me.
not gonna know the total cost until we go out for bid on the
Right.
project.
Right.
If you look at the full concrete estimate of 848, we'll call it, we have 788 in front of us, so a $60,000 difference. I mean, it's gonna be in the low to mid 600s, I would estimate. Or maybe close to this, if we're talking a 24-foot wide versus 20.
Yeah.
So there is a bid in this packet that they gave us, 7 inches of asphalt pavement, 2-inch additional type 3 aggregate base, 24-inch curb and gutter was $654.
Where you see that line?
It's on the
It's
second
on the
page.
second page, second through, yeah.
2 inches of type 2 aggregate base? That's kind of skimpy.
That's 3 acres.
Yeah.
That's curb and gutter as well.
Something that
Yeah.
kind of financial requirements, they can still reject.
I'll give you the basis of, well, we've discussed this
Yeah.
prior to. As far as CDBG is concerned, you guys are, up until you start spending money on construction. Once you start drawing for money for construction, that's when you'd have concerns of any kind of clawback from the state. So up until that point, it could go either way. You could go out to bid. If they come in way too high, you go back to council and say, we can't afford this. This still can be dissolved very easily. I'm talking about it's a contract amendment, you relinquish the funds back to the state, nobody can reuse that. Really no penalty to the city. Once we've gone out to bid, you award a contract, that's when it can get messy. If you then get cold feet, that's when, the state would have to pursue, and any funds that were spent by our program, we'd be back, so.
Right.
Just take that into consideration.
So there's no
So-
fine at all, or?
There's no-
a little fine,
As far as the CDBG is gonna be concerned,
I mean, what's our percentage on a fine?
you wouldn't get, are you talking about if you went out construction and you started that, or prior to?
Prior to?
Prior to, there really isn't,
We just lose the $200,000.
you'd lose your grant.
You lose the
Yeah,
grant.
you'd have to, forfeit the grant.
Right.
But you guys would be welcome to reapply. That wouldn't resolve any kind of relationship between Centralia and the state. Obviously, you're gonna be welcome to turn around and try again for, whatever facilities or whatever funding we can help you with. Yeah, like
But you mean for other opportunities?
Other opportunities
Because
that
this
we'd
one's
have.
tied to the job creation.
Yeah, this one's tied to job creation, but say if you needed, like the demo project just down the street. I mean,
Mhm.
you'd be open to apply for other things, the CDBG eligible activities. So, that, hopefully that puts your mind a little bit at ease as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, so if you had bids that were all still too high, you could
Mhm.
reject them and you're not on the hook.
Right.
Yeah. But as soon as you sign that contract, that's what I'm saying, that's the
Right.
11th hour.
Right.
I've actually had projects go all the way up to that 11th hour, and it just wasn't feasible, you know, and we understand that, we're not here to be a burden. It is a grant, I mean, and it, actually, you guys have committed more funds than what we're granting. A lot of times it's vice versa, there's more grant than there is funds available, so this is kind of a unique situation.
Is there any chance we get more,
Grant
per
money?
job?
Right, well, yeah, that would, being that this is economic development,
Mhm.
again, that's tied to the jobs that are available, so.
And it's
Yeah.
$20,000 per job, I think, right?
I believe, so, yes, yeah.
Okay. Anybody
That is
else
correct.
want that to 30 to 40?
That's on your business owner. We're gonna have a bigger conversation, just me in here, if we're going that route. There'll have to be some agreements made.
How long is this grant open? I mean, when,
It is on a timer.
Mhm.
So, it was awarded in, March of this year, and so, we need to see progress, at least within the first, the HUD will start knocking on my door in about 2 years, if it's not completed.
it's not complete.
Completed.
So if we were
Well,
to
a year
do
and a
that,
half.
if we were to do something in the spring and get it done over the summer, we wouldn't really have any trouble.
You're right.
I think the
Yeah.
Should be
timeline that
doable.
we're on right now is
Yeah.
looking to go out for bids,
Yeah.
like winter, spring, and then construction be completed in the summer.
See,
Right.
The
Like, if we continue
environmental's,
with what we're on right now.
yeah, the
You guys-
environmental's been complete, so you could go ahead with bidding, yeah.
you're at that stage where there shouldn't, as far as CDB is concerned, there's, nothing holding back for pursuing the procurement of a contractor.
Okay. The easement, has it been?
We've had some easement descriptions today,
Right.
but you are concerned with a particular landowner's easement, correct? And that is the,
Our, it's
It's
our,
okay, it's on there.
it's on there.
All right.
So it is.
so we do have the descriptions, so per ES&S's contract, and Heather and I looked at it. Now that we have these
They have-
descriptions, I think it's now incumbent on the city, meaning I guess it's gonna kind of fall to me and Heather, I guess duly, to try to, negotiate and put those easements in place. So they did provide the easement descriptions to the city finally, we do have those in hand, so.
So then
obviously-
you just gotta go out and get the easements in.
Now we have to go talk to the landowners and start acquiring it, and so I've got this nice little guideline that I've gotta follow, and Heather and I will follow.
The Uniform Act, yeah.
Yeah.
We will follow.
Please
that.
document. I'm all about documenting reality, that's how it goes.
Right.
Well, we'll need copies of like each of those steps. Like I said, it outlines it, I think I kind of summarized briefly what it was in it, so.
Basically, we have a lot of steps we've gotta follow, there's a flow chart for anybody who is very visual.
Mhm.
So we will start that sooner rather than later, because obviously having the acquisitions of the easements and having those in place and assurances for landowners, I mean, we have to have those in order to expand this road and to even get it started. So that will be
Right.
starting basically as soon as hopefully I get some direction from the board. If we're still moving forward with this, then Heather and I will start to go and approach those
Well,
landowners.
I just think this was done backwards. You should have gotten a contract with the owner that he would be willing to give the easements if we went forward with it. I think it's stupid to have designed this not knowing whether or not we're going to get an easement.
Legal
Honestly,
counsel
agree.
doesn't disagree.
Yes, I concur.
I don't think our grant administrators disagree.
Yeah.
That is typically how it's
But
done.
lessons learned for the next time.
So, what direction would you all like to see this go? How would you like us to proceed? These, I did ask ES&S to get, costs on these other two options, I can bring those back November 13th,
13.
yes. If that's what you would like.
What's our budget so we can handle?
I mean, we can handle what we got right there, but we'll just pretty much deplete our transportation sales tax budget. We won't have much to start with next fiscal year.
What's that
So it really
make
would-
our future overlays in town look like?
Not much next year.
No, it wouldn't be much next year.
Yeah.
And I'm like
You
Jim,
can't cut that.
it's hard for me to pay this amount of money for a street that's hardly gonna be used. that our downtown streets, our local streets are crappy as they are.
Yeah.
And I was the one that kind of pushed for the gravel option,
Mm-hmm.
never with the intent that that was gonna be the finished surface. My thought was, we would hard surface past Remington for the dust issue for all those residents there. But then put the gravel base in like you were gonna move forward with concrete and let it get rolled on for a few years. Once the property then develops some more, then we can move forward with a concrete or asphalt option, whatever the traffic kind of dictates, but.
Well, the way I understand it, it only calls for 4 inches of gravel, rolled stone base. And that's not sufficient to hold up the truck traffic.
Not for very long.
How much truck traffic are we talking about?
He runs a fair amount of trucks in and out.
Well, then you're gonna get every farm truck
That's a
from,
fair amount of trucks.
I really don't know.
you're gonna get every farm truck from northern Missouri down every street too. Every farm that's out that direction is gonna come down that road to 22 to hit ADM or MFA or
Mm-hmm.
JBS. I mean, it's hard to say at this time how much truck traffic it actually would have.
I mean, there is another option for some more money. We could go to the county and ask. County has a fund. We draw from it, we get money from it every year. There should be, I believe there's some money in there for special projects. And we could ask for a grant. Now, the problem is, their budget is already in process. I don't know how far along where they are with their budget, but their budget comes in, December 1st. And they have to have that done pretty damn quick. So there's very little time to be asking for something like that. Now, it may be a matter of we draw on it now and we get a fairly good chunk to help us, and then we don't get as much for a few years, which has happened in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a way of getting some money up front on that.
Also, if the Proposition D passes.
Won't help us until very end of
4
next year.
Yeah, very end, yeah. So that's gonna be
And
about
it won't be very
additional,
much initially,
about an additional $65,000 a year at the end of 4 years,
yes,
so.
not much before that.
So,
So it won't be of much help next year.
right.
If we stay on track with what, just planned road improvements, we're looking at, we need 187,000 for next year. And if we do this project as presented to completion, we'll have about 106,000 left in that fund.
Is that 187 and then 106?
Mhm.
Yeah, minus 106.
We're short $81,000.
But we could ask the county for that, to fund us some money on that. I think there's a pretty fair chance that we would get it.
If we ask them soon.
This is an industrial area, could potentially open up jobs.
Yeah.
So what direction would you like us to go? What information would you like?
I would like to explore the opportunity to ask the county for
Okay.
funds.
Okay,
And, I don't know, I guess get the estimate for what
24 foot.
24-foot concrete street.
No curb and gutter.
Yeah, with no curb and gutter.
okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
How would, that wouldn't affect our grant at all if we got some extra funding from the county, would it? Would that be okay? You still with some money?
As long as you make your match, that's all I care. That's,
Okay.
if you can prove that you spent that much, that's all I care.
Okay.
I don't
Where
think-
that money comes from, as long as it's not illegally attained, I'm fine.
I don't think that would be a
That'll
problem.
be wrong.
So your estimates, Heather, were based off the 788, something like that, thousand, it was on the.
700, yes. The most recent proposal.
So we could ask something back by the 13th of November. Okay. Is that okay with everybody?
What are we gonna do if the county don't give us the money?
Well, we
We
have
need
up
to be
until,
thinking
we have
about
up until we receive the bids to decide if we want to do
We
it or
can
not.
always look at
Yeah.
the 24-foot wide option, which
Yeah, we need
would
to
cut
see
off
what
a
these
fair amount
other
of money.
estimates would be.
Yeah, yeah.
Because whether we get the grant, I mean, if we get the grant, great, but otherwise, if we can get this bid down to about 700,000, we would still have the 180-ish thousand that we would estimated that we would need for next year's overlay, so.
And it should be well below that if we go to a 24-foot
Yeah.
wide street.
Yeah.
We need costs associated with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Do what?
I asked about going ahead and starting with the easements, and I mean, we hope that people will voluntarily donate those easements, but there could be costs associated with acquiring those easements. That, I know that there's a small budget figure in there, but
Well, I think that should be done, well, it should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
but it needs to be done.
We gotta-
So
But it needs to be
let's start
done.
doing that.
We'll get on that, we'll work on that. Anything else?
So work on the easements, seeing if we can get county grant, and we need to see the other estimates.
For the other two options that he presented.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other two options were the 24.
24-foot, no curb and
No
gutter,
curb and gutter.
26-foot curb and gutter, and I have no use for that option.
Yeah.
The 26-foot?
I think we should look at the 24-foot curb and gutter, or no curb and gutter, and
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
not even look at the 26.
26 foot to me is a waste of money.
Let's put a curb and gutter on one side. Leave the option open for,
You know,
Okay, so
yeah.
The only other thing you could look
how
at.
much easement are
check
you
on,
gonna
that's
ask
just a
for?
copy of the email. He set out the easements. So
Oh,
I need to see
33
their
foot
costs.
wide.
Yeah.
So that you-
It'd be
yeah.
66 total, but 33 foot on the north part.
Okay, so
Yeah,
if
it's
you
just
do
the side still in there.
24 foot and the landowner decides to build property along that street, are you gonna make him pave to that 33 foot?
Side road,
To finish the,
driveway, or what are you talking
to finish the road off in front of the properties, like we do in town, like Columbia Street. He's gotta finish that road off when he builds in front of it. So are you gonna make that landowner pay to have that road paved in front of them properties at the 33 foot?
I think it's probably gonna be completed before somebody actually develops that. I don't know, I don't have a crystal
Well,
ball.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's something we need to figure out now before we go on and say, yeah, we'll do a 24-foot street, and then the landowner says, okay, well, I'm gonna start building houses in here.
Mhm.
And then are you gonna make
Is that-
them,
Is that residential area or?
No.
is
It's,
it-
in-
It's
it's
industrial.
industrial. so
it's industrial, but I mean,
Yeah.
he could come and get it changed.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to, I mean, the lots there where they have the duplexes on Remington are industrial too.
So that's what I'm getting at. For farther,
Yeah,
I mean, not to say that it won't be done in 5 years or 10 years or whatever, but
Right.
if you do this road, you may think, well, I might decide to build duplexes through there or whatever. Are you gonna make him finish the 33 foot to finish the road, or are you just gonna leave it at 24 foot?
well, that Remington Street, how wide is that? That's
50-foot right away as far as I understand,
50 foot right away?
which technically doesn't meet our subdivision code because it is industrial.
Right.
But it does meet it for what, it's- for the use.
Mhm. Okay.
And Heather and I will have to check to make sure that the easement descriptions that were sent by ES&S fit these dimensions we're talking about. I think it does, but we are gonna have to make sure and check since we are kind of playing with the possible width of the road, so.
If we intend to eventually get the 38 feet with curb
You're
and
gonna
gutter, should we
need
go
it.
ahead and just get
We're gonna
Yes.
have to go with all of it. No,
Yeah.
You asked for as much as you can get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, you can cut it down. If he is insistent upon buying it, you can cut it down to the bare minimum and pay him for the bare minimum of what you need to get this in.
Mhm.
At a later date, if he subdivides, then he can be forced to grant the rest of the right of way. I've seen that done.
Mhm. You got your direction? You did? Okay, thanks. All right, comments from citizens?
You
Like
like
make
say-
comments?
Are you here with art stuff? Art? No. Government, okay.
Gentlemen, you're welcome to stay if you like.
That was probably the most riveting part of the meeting, right?
Yeah, well, I just wanna make sure everybody's asked any questions that they
Yeah.
want, since you've got us here, and
Mhm.
we're free to be used, so. I just wanna make sure everybody's got all their bases covered moving forward, we'll be in contact.
Yeah,
Yeah. And again, I just like, wanted to reiterate, you're safe all the way up until you are under contract, and then that's the difficult part for CUG. Even with, even though you're under contract with Minmo,
mhm,
that's offset, that's not falls under what we consider our national objectives. So admin fees, even if worst case scenario, did dissolve, you can still pay them without any sort of penalties or anything like that, since their portion is another national objective. Once you hit the construction, that's when you have to tie it to jobs, that's when it gets really complicated, so hopefully, and how are we doing with working with the actual business itself? I mean, that's one thing. Are we keeping the actual business owner involved in this as well? Like if-
yes, he was at our meeting last week.
Okay,
Pretty mad, it looked like to me, but,
What's that?
pretty mad, but it looked like to me.
He was when,
well, cause that all, it hinges on them as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you're leveraging everything on those
Right.
jobs, and
his concern was he didn't want to go forward with part of a concrete road and gravel. He didn't want any gravel.
it's understandable.
And I understand that. This is an option that we will present to him, pending the cost estimates. And, we'll either move forward or not.
It's fine.
And remember those estimates even are sometimes high.
What's
so
that?
Sometimes the estimates, again, are high, so
Right,
going to bid and saying
Yeah.
what those actual bids are could be useful as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, we are definitely keeping him involved in the discussion.
They have a new business manager who reached out to me today to make sure we're on the same page as far as their LMI employee interviews, so we have communication going on.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, I appreciate y'all coming up today.
Just keep us involved and updating that, so
Yeah,
that's all I can ask.
yeah.
Well, thank you
So-
all.
Yeah, while you're here, we're, gonna be talking, I guess, about the demolition project soon.
Yes.
Going out for bid on that, as soon as we can.
Yeah, I think
I
we're.
don't know what.
Environmental.
We're doing environmental.
Doing
right now.
environmental. All right, and once that's complete, we'll go out.
Just a minute, once we get that one closed, go ahead and
Yeah.
reapply,
Okay,
because we were trying to. I've got to sell our program too, and keep coming back.
all right,
As long as we're successful, and we're keep
yes.
coming back.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Have a safe trip back. All right, would you like to make any comments from citizens? Maybe, introduce yourself and tell us why you're here. Alright.
I'm Mary Kate Bennett, and if we came today, we got extra credit in our government class, so.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, very good. Do you need me to sign something for you?
We already got something, so.
Oh, okay. All right. And what's your name again?
I'm Anna Romine, and I'm here for the same reason.
All right, well, welcome.
You're gonna write a report on what you've learned tonight, correct?
Kind of, just fill out this paper.
Okay, all right. Well, very good. All right, let's close comments from citizens. Discussion regarding golf carts and UTVs.
So we had a discussion last week, and I talked to Sydney, and Bob, I think, has talked to Sydney, and she just had some questions, see what direction the board wanted to go in, and that we can create an ordinance that we can present in November.
So, I mean, the biggest thing was, is when I showed Heather an application, most you know, cities that have an ATV, UTV, golf court ordinance has their police force usually do some sort of like inspection procedure. They have them bring the side by side, the ATV or whatever up. Police, you know, usually walks around, makes sure it meets all the requirements of the ordinance, does an inspection, asks for insurance, that sort of stuff, keeps it on file, however the police force would like to do it. So I'm kind of wondering, is that what you were envisioning, is having the police force take the responsibility for doing the walk around and certifying the insurance, that sort of thing, and then keeping like an application on file over there? If that is the case, they're expending their time, most all of the fees that generally are collected in a community for golf carts, ATVs, side-by-sides, usually are dedicated funding stream to the police, basically to offset their time, you know, to do that. So is that something you wanna factor into the ordinance? And also, you guys can go up to $25 per step by the statute. You can go below that, but you can go up to a maximum of $25. And I think you all have proposed 10,
What's the average, I guess, from the cities that you know about?
15.
Okay.
I mean, most of them, I don't know, I think 15 was the previous before the bump up to 25, so a lot of them have not amended the ordinance since the bump to 25, so most of them are staying at 15. So, and they only go year to year, so you can't, per statute, can't go a lifetime pass or 2 years or every 6 months,
Right.
right? So it's a yearly pass.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that, Bob?
I'm okay with any of it.
Okay.
Any and all,
Last week, we talked about requiring insurance and.
Yeah, and that's already in the ordinance.
Right, but then having to provide proof of insurance and registering essentially, just like we do our cars.
Mhm.
Wanting to implement an actual inspection.
And when
And
I
We
say,
didn't even talk about that last
well, when I
week.
tell you
That's
that,
why, that's the question
Yeah.
she had. for
and it's
her.
not really like a, you know, I hate to say, it's not like a 30-point inspection like you go with your car to get your state license, but, you know, generally the guys do a walk around, make sure it has active seat belts, if it's a side-by-side, you know, make sure it has taillights, you know, ask them to pump the brakes, make sure you can see the taillights. You know, obviously they take a copy of the proof of insurance that's kept with the application on a yearly basis, so if one of the guys pulls over somebody that shouldn't be driving, they can have all that information on hand at the station for them. Chief, can you think of anything else besides basically the brakes, the seat belts? I don't think they have to have more, yeah.
They don't have to have turn signals or anything
Yeah,
like that.
no.
They actually don't even actually have brake lights, just tail lights.
Unless they're being driven after that.
Unless they're being driven after dark. So,
But you know, they can walk around and, I mean, those gentlemen oftentimes will pull over, you know, vehicles anyway, they kinda know what they're looking for, you know, if there's something, you know, hey, you got
Yeah.
some, you know, duct tape works really fine, but maybe not for this, sort of thing, I don't know.
So is there a requirement for seat belts, or only if they're,
only if they came factory installed.
Yeah, factory installed.
So for most UTVs, they are, but golf carts.
golf carts now?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, that is correct. But this, just so you know, those side-by-sides, I mean,
Yeah.
just for instance, I mean, my husband and I, we have an X3. It will go 120 miles an hour on the road, and I verify that it will do it. Well, no, I mean, I know that sounds, but these things are just as dangerous, if not more so, than a car. So, I mean, seatbelts, obviously making sure that they're functional are very critical, because, I mean, accidents can happen. There was a horrible accident in the city of Tipton. They have a side-by-side law, and I mean, bless the poor girl that did this. She was a 9-year-old girl, went to back up her UTV at her house, and she thought she had it in forward, but she ended up having it in reverse with the gas, and she killed her mother. She pinned her mother between the house and the end of the side-by-side. So, I mean, accidents are severe, so having somebody that's knowledgeable about these, like the police force, look at these things are important to ensure safety of your citizens.
Of course, there's not much able to prevent that.
No, and I'm not saying, but I'm just saying that these things are, they're as dangerous as a car.
Yeah.
Well, as we said last week, we don't have anything for UTVs, so we
Right.
definitely gotta do
Right.
something there.
And also the drinking and driving laws apply to golf carts, UTVs and all that stuff.
That's already in our existing
Yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah.
That's under state law. I mean, you can't drive under the influence of drugs, alcohol,
Right.
you're
Right.
operating. You can't do it with a bicycle.
Motorized vehicle, it doesn't matter what it is, motorized vehicle,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah. Perfect.
So, I mean, is that the sort of thing you want to see in the ordinance? I mean, the fees, the inspections, do you want a dedicated stream to the police force in terms of where the fines go? I mean, that's what I kind of wanted some feedback on.
Well, I certainly think that we ought to collect enough money off of the inspection, and the application in order to recover the cost of doing so. Because there is an expense.
Yeah.
I mean, there is time. So whether that's 10 or 15 or $20, I don't know, but I mean, we gotta figure that out and we'll put a number in there and change the date.
Remember though, that some people who drive these golf carts around town are also on fixed income, so want to be considerate of that.
Right.
How long do you think it would take an officer to do an inspection like that and complete the complete the application?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And the fact is, if the guy comes in with the application already completed, all we should have to do is sign off on it. So the fact is, the inspection's gonna take you 5 minutes.
$10
I think,
would adequately cover that time.
I'd say on average, it'd probably be somewhat more than that, because there's always things that aren't done.
I think.
I would start at $10 average.
Yeah, I think $10 would be a good start, and, if we find out that it's taking more time than that, then we can always amend to that next year.
Yes. And, start dates, do you want this to run January to January, since we would be looking at passing this in November, that will give us time to get it out
Right.
to the public, so start
And that should be the earliest.
enforcing it in January.
And will there be a sticker to be
Yes.
affixed? Are they affixed, I should say?
Yeah. Yeah, printing costs for the stickers.
Are
I
there
mean,
very
either go
clear
January,
guidelines for
January,
the
or April,
inspection?
April.
You follow your ordinance, I mean, actually follow the statute, I mean, so like on UTVs, if they have factory installed seat belts, that, tail lights, that, you know.
Headlights,
Huh?
such as, make sure, yeah,
Yeah.
headlights, taillights.
I just don't want us to get into a disagreement with people, this was a subjective
No, I mean,
inspection.
I wish I would've brought the
I don't think it is.
inspection form here, it actually sets out the standards in the statute, and there's just check boxes, so I mean, literally, I mean, it's clearly set out even in the application that they fill out what they're gonna be looking for,
Prescribed form,
yeah, and what you have to pass on those boxes.
We're not creating the wheel here, because evidently Cindy has written these before, and like I said, it's all in state statute, so we're not recreating anything here, we're just borrowing from somebody else.
Yeah.
It's already enacted.
Okay. All right, anything else on the golf cart UTVs? Action agenda, finance, permits and licensing, nothing scheduled, is that still the case?
Yes.
All right, legal. Ratifying the public safety sales tax ordinance passed on July 20th, 2018. This is ordinance requires 2 readings. Discussion?
This is just at the request of the county clerk's office. They said that we filed our ballot issue too soon, and so we have to ratify the ordinance, even though it is already on the ballot, so.
Did we pass an ordinance on this?
Yes.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just have to ratify the ordinance we passed.
So
This is
all-
not something we've ever had to do.
It's not something that any other city's ever had to do either, it's very much, you know.
But we passed ours too soon?
No, okay, so what CJ Dykehouse has indicated, that, and Taylor Brooks is reading a very broad, and I mean, I don't really wanna get into this. CJ agrees that it was enough to provide notice to put the issue on the ballot, but he's concerned that it could be subject to possible dispute because it was passed before the actual effective date, which, I hate to say it, the effective date is also the last date that you can turn anything into the ballot for them to actually put on the November ballot. So, he's thinking that it just needs to be ratified, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with ratifying it. Like, literally, there's no harm, no foul here. It's just a little extra icing on the cake. Just to make sure.
Covering all our bases.
Yeah. You might have missed some frosting in the center, so you'll have to push a little bit more there.
Okay. Alderman Lee, would you? Bill number?
2256.
I move that bill number 2256 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that bill number 2256 be given its first reading by title only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
An ordinance of the city of Centralia, Missouri, ratifying the ordinance calling for the election notice for the public safety sales tax passed on July 20th, 2018. I move that bill number 2256 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second that bill number 2256 be given its second reading by title only. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
An ordinance of the city of Centralia, Missouri, ratifying the ordinance calling for the election notice for the public safety sales tax passed on July 20th, 2018. I move that bill number 2256 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that bill number 2256 be adopted by a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Borman,
No.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Lee,
Yes.
Alderman Magley,
Yeah.
Alderman Logan.
4.
All right, by your vote, bill number 2256 passes, now becomes ordinance number
2987.
Thank you very much. Purchasing, accepting the best bid for wire for the electric department. You got the, bids in your,
We talked about this one last week. Border States was the best bid. So I move that we accept the bid from Border States for the wire.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Border States for wire at the amount of, $3,842.25. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll go buy some wire. Approving the purchase of a trailer for the skid loader.
We did talk about this last week, and you approved Mike to purchase a trailer of $6,000. He was able to find one for $4,650. He called this morning, they had 3 trailers, he got there, they had 1 left, so he said, I want it, let's buy it. So we just need to go ahead and approve the official purchase of it.
Okay.
So
We sort of did.
We did, but not in an official board meeting.
Yeah.
So I move that we approve the purchase of a trailer for $4,650.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the purchase of a trailer for $4,650. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. Closed session. Let's see. Alderman Wilkins, would you take some?
Sure, I make a motion to go into closed session. And during the meeting, the Board of Aldermen may elect to go into closed session and hold a closed vote. And the purpose of such closed session and closed vote shall be as provided for under section 610.0212. Leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public governmental body where public knowledge of the transaction might adversely affect the legal consideration thereof. And section 610.021 3 of the revised statutes of Missouri for hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body.
All right. I have a motion.
Second.
to go into closed session. And a second.
Cliffhanger.
He was talking for so long.
Yes. I have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Roll call vote, please. Tara.
Alderman Lee,
Yes.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Logan,
4.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Magley.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Today.
No, we just want to make sure.
Are you all leaving?
You got your homework done? Paperwork filled out?
All right, we'll be back in a few minutes.
Be here.
Do we leave or stay?
Do what?
Do we leave or stay?
You can leave if you want to.
Okay,
I'm sure you probably got enough to fill out your paper, right?
yeah.
All right, then you're good to go, young lady.
Thank you.
You all have a good evening.
You too.
Have a good night.
You
thanks.
too. You too.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'll be right there, Tim.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. Sorry, that was still showing on 5:20 this morning. Oh, well, it still says 32nd. Boy, mister.
maybe it's ringing a bell. If I had that discussion with him, I'd forgotten about it. I was wondering how many times he was gonna try and wedge in, but he thought such and such was a stupid idea. Well, I was, something like that. I just, well, some of it's just simple. Like, let's take the police reports, for example. I'm not quite sure why the person whose job it is to actually type those up, fireside guard, actually, to be more accurate, to cut and paste them, fireside guard is not able to pick up the phone, call the police department and say, "Hi, what are the police reports?" As opposed to, if I had called you, it wouldn't even come up until about 3 p.m. tomorrow while the critters are already, waiting for us to send pages, and I have this blank space. Let's talk about past tense, Joe Bellamy. You know what I wrote and you know what I didn't write, for the most part.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Did you have somebody asking questions?
The best analogy is if you coach Jim Newstead at the football and track teams, pretty much was your responsibility. How would you feel if Susie, the janitor, was given the ability, just somehow seemed to have the ability to say, "Hey, Newstead, how come the Magley boy's not throwing a shot?"
Okay, I guess it. Okay, somebody.
I mean, I don't know what, to use Joe as an example. Apparently, there were some people that thought that I should have written a big front page article about what happened to him, and what didn't happen to him, what should have happened to him, or what shouldn't have happened to him. And you know what I did? I got the basics of it, and I stuck it at the end of an article for public safety and general government, and that's all it merited.
Agreed.
If it would have been Chief Joe Bellamy,
Yeah, I did everything.
but as I tried to explain to them, it didn't go very far. With all due respect to Larry and to you, over the last 10 years, an astounding number of police officers have been asked to leave. That's kind of the nature, I suspect that's the nature of the business.
Very much so. Very much so.
And for varying reasons.
Yeah. And maybe some of them, like the guy whose name I can't remember, who was short and apparently took pictures of himself, certain body parts, and sent them to people.
I can tell you exactly who that was. I bet my wife would too.
I hope you didn't get any of those pictures.
No.
But, you
No,
know,
it would have probably been pretty ugly, because I probably would have killed him.
and that would have been journalistically worthy.
And that would have been a journalistic front page story right there. But, yeah, you put up a lot more sometimes than I think you probably should.
6.5 more years, or maybe less, depending on what happens with the person who I take care of.
Yeah.
What is your dad?
Lonely. This morning was special, and this is not stuff you all want to hear, so I'll try not to say most of it, but
My dad had
I-
Alzheimer's.
I set out his lunch on the table before in a sealed container, I made a sign on it, it says lunch. There are whiteboards beneath the television that say things like, typically, your lunch is on the table, your dinner salad is in the refrigerator, James will be home by 9, or like tonight, because James will be home very late. And there's another whiteboard that says, please take a shower, and another one that says, please take your night pills.
Sure.
Anyway, for whatever reason today, sometime after 10, he just went over and opened up his lunch container and started eating it. I said, yeah, it's not lunchtime yet, you don't really need to be eating now. Part of me wondered if I should even do that, because getting him to eat in the first place is sometimes interesting. I'm trying to get out the door. I finally get out the door at 10:30, which is a half hour later than I'd like to be out the door. And I get to the truck and realize, oh, I left my keys in the house. I walk back to up the steps in the screen door porch, and there's Missy Bassett happily snarfing into a salami and Swiss cheese sandwich that I made for my father's lunch. He'd taken one bite out of it, decided he didn't want to eat anymore. And this is at 10:30 in the morning. Daddy, what time is it? Why are you doing this? I didn't want to eat anymore, Daddy. That's because you're not hungry. And it wasn't good. And
How old are they?
he's 87. And I occasionally raise my voice, which I shouldn't. And he occasionally hits me, which he shouldn't.
It's hard.
I can survive being hit by people.
Chief, you are being requested in the closed session.
Oh, okay.
Your trade
Oh, I'm
spots.
sorry.
Oh, it's all right, brother. Sheila, you can relate on this here.
Well, the striking, maybe it is a problem. Well, it isn't a problem for me. I fought full contact and I've been paid to fight. The problem is when he starts hitting me and I don't think things. And sometimes the skin is fragile, skin peels off. And
What are you fighting full contact for?
Because that's what people that compete in that area do.
Do what?
I used to be in the circuit for that sort of thing. I've done a lot of kicking and punching type stuff.
Oh, so was I. I was a women's Muay Thai kickboxer. I was in the UFC before the UFC became the UFC. I'm
Cool.
got Krav Maga training, several years of judo, several years of MMA, and nobody to fight with anymore. Now I just fight with words. I lost my gallbladder as a result of it, though.
No, for me, most of it was taekwondo and some judo. I trained in Tokyo for a year in
When you're doing that.
South America, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I work at the Fireside Guard. That should tell you what 7 national trophies are worth.
I just know it's a great way to work out, and I love it. I trained with Steve Woolridge. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I do, because he and Brad Terry used to fight together.
Yep. So, Steve's my coach.
They both trained under, they got their boxing training under George Birell and Hannibal.
That's right. I just correct. I remember that name. But Steve was my coach.
Where is Steve now? Is he still,
Lenexa.
really?
Lenexa, Kansas. He was as of 2 years ago, which is the last time I saw him. Oh my God, he was looking rough.
Somewhere I have pictures of he and Brad after, oh gosh, somewhere outside of Hannibal. They both fought in outdoor matches, and that was an eye-opener for me because in 1985, yeah, we'll say 85. Brad was well, he was definitely the best fighter that I knew in the Midwest in the International Taekwondo Federation and the USTF. But he was the only professional fighter I knew at that time, really. The master would just line up the senior black belts and he'd stand there and do us all back-to-back 2-minute rounds without breaking the sweat.
Right.
And then I got to see him in a genuine professional fight against another genuine professional. And he didn't win, and that was just very much an eye-opener. Because I thought I was special because I was the one who didn't knock out. And then here he is up there getting pumpkin-headed. That's just a big deal. It's a wake-up call.
Oh, I'm just his favorite person of the week. Well, not the week. Yeah, the week just started, so I guess I am his favorite person this week. a certain candidate who I vex constantly on Twitter. To the point like he's engaged me more than he has his opponent on Twitter.
Oh, that's funny.
And like directly, I mean, yeah, quoted me, pinned, had a tweet of mine and his pinned up there. It's like, no, let's just take it.
It wouldn't be Josh Hawley.
He would be Josh Hawley. He and I get into it quite frequently. I don't like it when a 38-year-old snot nose, never mind.
I don't think he's that much older than 38.
No, he's 38. No, it's just, I will say this election cycle, the commercials, the ads, the vitriol that has spun out of control on both sides. Okay, everybody is not above reproach here. I have seen it come from all different directions. I have seen it come from special interest groups. They're backing all sorts of different candidates. But I have never seen a cycle like I have this cycle, where outright lies dominate. Okay, I'm not even. There's not even a gray patch in the statement. It's just a lie. And they say it with such a straight face. It terrifies me that is what the country is coming to. Is that it is okay for elected officials or potential elected officials to lie to us, and we just are accepting of it.
Well, that's what drives me up the wall and makes me lose sleep. Is this house, it gets under my skin. How stupid do they think I am?
It's not even about stupid. I don't think that our electorate or the American people are stupid. In fact, I think we are some of the most bright, intelligent, inspiring, hardworking, compassionate people. I think we are just so damn beaten down that we are getting it from every possible angle, that we are tired. And people, just like I said, it's a 24/7 news cycle. You know this. I mean, you work on the news, you work on the media. I mean, you can flip on your television, or you can pick up this damn phone anytime and find news from every possible source imaginable. That some of it isn't even, I would call journalism. Some of it is, to me, true entertainment.
What's driving me up the wall right now, and I'm going to use Trump as an example, but he is by no means the only one, or the specific one, except in this example. And it says something bad about me, I have a hard time letting it roll off my shoulders and bounce off a skin that used to be thicker and will be thicker again. When people text, Facebook message me, or just tell me in my face how Trump is a great man because he's the only president that ever made an agreement with North Korea. There is no agreement. There is no treaty with North Korea. He did not.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'll be quite honest, I have to plead ignorance. I know he was negotiating one. I have no idea the status of it. I mean, I haven't heard
There's been nothing. The closest thing they have to an agreement is to meet again. There is no treaty. I mean, there are people out there that firmly believe that Donald Trump ended the Korean War.
Well, it was never a true war, was it? The last declaration of war was World War II, am I not correct?
And I think this was a true war. And right now there's an armistice. There's been an armistice since the 50s, when they finally got tired of fighting each
Yeah,
other.
I just, for some reason, I thought the last true declaration of congressional, but I mean, like I said, I'm not a war historian, but I thought the last one was World War II. But like I said, I could be mistaken on that too. I'm just, like I said, it's just, and it's not Holly. Holly is just the symptom of a larger problem, but it concerns me. It just concerns me that he's not, I don't think he's ever been in a true trial. Not that that necessarily disqualifies somebody from being Attorney General. The key responsibility an Attorney General has to have is the ability to manage people and the ability to make good decisions about the type of cases that the state could be involved in. And hopefully surrounding yourself with the brightest of people to help guide you on the path. But that office is languishing because it doesn't emphasize the Sunshine Law. The Sunshine Law is a major piece of law that can bring transparency to government. That's what it was designed to do. We talk about dark money. We talk about these nonprofits that take advantage of people. We have the Sunshine Law that could be used to help effectuate more transparency. We do need to give, I think, more authorization to the Attorney General's office to enforce violations of the Sunshine Law, and not just knowing violations or intentional. But I've told you this before. I don't understand why our state does not have a civil rights enforcement division. It can benefit both cities and employers and businesses at the same time it serves to protect the citizens of our state. They can have a resource to, ask questions, and maybe things like Ferguson and or the abuses in our municipal court system would not have been as prolific as they had been if we would have had a resource like that.
I agree with you. But unfortunately, from my perception and perspective, I see the motivation of people, money interests, et cetera, that just see it as another opportunity, not only for government to keep them in the way of, the business of America is business.
Well, the business of America has always been backstopped by bureaucracy to some degree. There's some bureaucracy that I would have to admit doesn't need to be there. There's some bureaucracy for the sake of just bureaucracy. I think the more concerning thing is, what did you think about that op-ed in the New York, was it the New York Times, about that quote-unquote person in the Trump administration who said there are adults in the room? I mean, how did you feel about it? I mean, you're a journalist. I mean, is that something that paper should have published? I'm just curious.
Yes.
It should have, okay, it should have. Well, I don't think they had the 3-source rule or whatever it was, or something
Well,
like that.
It's changing right now, and it's changing due to massive consolidation of media ownership. More on that later.
Oh, sure. Man, we were solving world ills out here.
I really don't think they need to go into closed session to discuss her, the city prosecutor.
Is that what they're doing?
I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. But it didn't take a rocket scientist to know the big rules, so it was probably going to not want to stick around.
Yeah.
If for no other reason than to think somebody like maybe your husband at some point would be saying, hey, I think we need to actually lay eyes on the city prosecutor once in a while.
Is she not over here?
Never. First it was supposed to be every 3 months or something like that, and it was like every 6 months, and it was once a year. No, I want to keep my father at home, he wants to stay home. I have to learn more to let some things roll off my back, but he's got to eat.
Yes. My dad was home for 7 years. I think he really was sick longer than we thought. The last 9 months, we had to put him in a nursing home because it became dangerous for my mother. And she was exhausted. And I spent more time running to Hallsville than I did. I was just on call constantly. Because that was the only thing that could talk him off the ledge. He had a lot of hallucinations and delusions, and my mom was usually, it was his reality, They live in a different place. I don't know what her dad, he just lived in a different place than us most of the time. It became like those less and less. At first it was just like breakthrough things, and then it was like my real dad became, it was the only breakthrough pieces of him towards the very end. Only little bits here and there. And once we put him in the nursing home, he went downhill really quickly. It's just a change. How long did your dad, has he lived with you? Or
I live with him.
Yes.
see it's fine.
How long has, I mean, so
Yeah,
he
it's
hasn't had to move from,
No.
so see, that's a good, that's helpful.
And really, for me, purposes of this discussion, it all started 3 years ago when my mom died. Because that's when it became my
Oh, well, we'll have to just carry forth this discussion and come back.
I look forward to it. I also wouldn't mind hitting you up for some memories of the Muay Thai back in those days.
Do you want us to like spar out there? No.
Sparring with me would be very interesting.
Sparring with me right now after a leg day a day and a half ago would just, I'm just rolling on the floor, I'm tapping out before we even begin. I'm just telling you how much. I couldn't lift my leg any higher than like 20-degree angle at this point.
How are you, sir? I understand.
Come on, wake up.
Please.
Okay, so just a quick question. Do any of you know, was the last time the United States officially declared war, was it the World War II, or did we declare war during the Korean War?
No,
We did not. It was just, it was a foreign, it
it was a police action.
was a police action. So was the last time we declared war World War II? Then,
As far as I know.
Is it a trivia question or what?
Hey
We were-
Siri,
See, I think somebody declared war
when was the
in the
last time
Korean
the United
conflict.
States?
Might not have been us, but
That was a police action and it was not us. It was the United Nations.
time the United States declared war? Have a look.
then what is the status of the armistice that we have?
You should have asked the Durban girls before they
In
left.
Korea, there is no peace agreement.
I didn't say
We are technically still at war with North Korea.
it was World War II.
Okay.
Sounds right.
I could go through that.
Well, when you guys were out of it, that's what we were discussing this history of Trump.
All right, so. The vote was taken to come back into open session, and that's all that was voted on in closed session. Let me see. New business, mayor's appointments. Who's naming Sidney Mayfield as the city prosecutor.
I make a motion, we approve the mayor's appointment.
Second.
Motion second to approve the mayor's appointment as Sidney Mayfield as the city prosecutor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Need a roll
Do
call.
we need a date on that?
Need a roll call vote?
Yeah, there's no one over minutes.
Need a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Alderman Magley,
Yes.
Alderman Borman,
Sorry.
Alderman Wilkins,
4?
Alderman Hudson,
Yeah, I guess so. I was thinking the same thing.
Sure.
No offense, and you're just trying to have some fun.
All right. Next will be setting the compensation of a certain city employee. The ordinance requires 2 readings. Alderman Hudson? would you do something?
Bill number?
2257.
Move that bill number 2257 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
Have a motion second that bill number 2257 be given its first reading by title only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
An ordinance to fix the compensation of a certain employee of the city of Centralia, Missouri. Move that bill number 2257 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
Have a motion second that bill number 2257 be given its second reading by title only. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
Move that bill number 2257 be adopted by roll call vote. Oh, wait, I gotta read it.
You gotta read it first.
Sorry.
It's so long, I mean, I understand why it's arduous.
An ordinance to fix the compensation of a certain employee of the city of Centralia, Missouri. Move that bill number 2257 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have a motion second that bill number 2257 be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Roll call vote, please, Brett.
Alderman Wilkins,
4.
Alderman Hudson,
Yes.
Alderman Lee,
Yes.
Alderman Borman,
Yes.
Alderman Magley.
Yep.
By your vote, bill number 2257 passes on ordinance number
2988.
Is it too late to put the $8 in there?
All right. City administrator.
You have a memo in your packet. I was contacted today regarding Pumpkin Fest this weekend. It has turned into quite the event. I think it's quite a bit bigger than they anticipated.
61 vendors.
61 vendors. So they are requesting, in order to have enough room for all this, to close 2/3 of the square. So they would want to close all of Rollins Street from Sneed to Singleton, all of Singleton from Rollins to Allen, and all of Sneed from Rollins to Allen, and then half of Allen Street up, that's up against the square, it's adjacent to the square. They would not close Sneed Street fully, they would just close half of it, but not in front, and they would leave open the part in front of the post office, that whole side of the street, until after 10:30, and until after the post office closed. So, that is their request.
Why would we not just close off the whole part of Allen, so aren't we creating a potential safety risk? If we leave half of it open, with cars driving up and down?
It always stays open during like the barbecue contest, it was open the whole time. Half of
Steve
it,
was too.
yeah. But Singleton and Rollins were closed.
Yeah, but Rollins down here, half of it was open, and like I said, I think everybody's well aware that there's something going on. I mean, I understand your point.
How come they didn't hang their sign up?
Because,
We went through the meeting through and all the discussions about,
I asked him that today, the cost was $800 for the sign.
maybe you should have thought about that before you come to us about it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I think we
I know,
gotta
I asked him
I
about
was
it.
probably where I was this morning when I drove into town.
So, that's what they're requesting, to close the street for this festival. It sounds like it's been very well received, a lot of vendors.
Right.
I've heard a lot
Did
of.
they fill out the application to close the street yet? Isn't there an application to close the street?
No, you
No.
just
No, that's a parade permit. We don't
It's
need
a
to
parade
have a parade.
permit, yeah, we don't, we just have to
Not
ask.
gonna have a pumpkin parade?
They have a hayride, they have all kinds of things that they're
I
gonna do.
make a motion, we approve the requested road permits.
Second.
So all of Sneed, all of Rollins, and all of Singleton.
Right, just right around the square.
Sneed only after 10:30 though.
Yes, after the post office closes.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I do have one more thing, actually, I do have the resume,
Okay, city attorney, do you have anything?
Well, just briefly, like I said, Heather and I will start working on those easements, and as soon as, we get information from each landowner, we'll get that updated to you to kind of hopefully get that moving here relatively quickly. So,
Okay.
that'll be taking place starting tomorrow.
All right, city clerk? Nothing? All right, as we rise.
Those two.
Okay, so I've been in contact with Lori Myers, who is working with Miss Renan, who is the art teacher at the high school. This is something that Matt had agreed to before he left. It's actually not a bad thing. The art students have been working on designs for the big, like, transformer electrical boxes in different places around town. And so they would paint them for us and just kind of add a really neat art aspect. They would be visible. They've located several around town.
So we're gonna paint the camera blocks with this good.
They actually have 7. There's one more that's not on here. No, they're not in the camouflage. But
With Panthers all over them?
they will be a variety of designs, but they are ready to move forward with this project. So I just wanted to bring it. I wasn't sure if the board was aware of this, and when I talked to the mayor, he said that he didn't think so. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that this is something that they've requested. So maybe a motion might be in order to allow them to do this because they're ready to start.
What is their designs?
Well, they're gonna show you. They're gonna bring it to your approval.
When you say transformers, do you mean the ones on the poles or the ones on the ground?
The boxes.
Thank you.
You can have this.
Hey,
if you
hey,
want.
See, I have a copy, sorry.
The ones The ones on the
Yeah,
poles have to be a different color of camouflage.
Yeah, they're not gonna get the truck to go up there and paint them.
And there's,
And
you know,
I'm pretty
something
sure we're
similar
not
going
gonna
on.
have high school kids climb the poles to paint them.
We don't-
one never knows.
Right.
So, they're finalizing the artwork, they'll bring it to you, so it looks like they only need 6 instead of 7.
Okay.
With written artist statements that provide art insight and explanation, so.
So we needed a motion?
I think that would be
Yeah.
appropriate.
I move that we, allow them to go forward.
So you got it.
Well, it says on here that we get to see the design.
Yes.
Right, keep thinking. So I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the artwork on the Paramount Transformers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Any other admin items? We do have one, or two. The meet and greet is Thursday, at 6 p.m., right here in this room. Meet all the new city staff, employees, all that. Let's see. The November 10th is the Veterans Day 5K, 10K run. That's on the city website, it's on the city Facebook page, sign up online. Hopefully we'll get a good turnout this year, raise some money for the admin flags. I do want to say that the barbecue contest was very well attended. They had between 31 and 34 vendors, and the vendors are
Competitors.
Competitors.
There were 33 competitive teams and 7 backyard
Okay.
teams and 7 kids.
Yeah.
How'd that compare to last year? Was it higher or lower?
Higher.
It was higher. Yeah. I did talk to several of the contenders. Had some from Tulsa, Oklahoma was the farthest ones away that I heard about. Had some from southern Iowa, western Illinois, all over the place. So several teams from Kansas City and several teams from Columbia.
So is that like a points thing? Is that how they do that? Are they in a club?
It's a Kansas City, KCBS.
So is that like, do
sanctioned
they get
event.
so many points for coming to this event? Or, I mean, how do they pull people from
Yeah, they,
Oklahoma?
they get points. There's a whole point system. I don't know
If you
all
win,
of that.
you get so many points, and, like, pardon me, for example, what's his name, Weeder, that won the grand championship? Because he won this grand championship, that puts him over, so he's automatically part of the big one in Kansas City. That actually, that besides the big one in Kansas City, that they actually host a World Series.
So it's kinda like a tractor pull. It's like a points thing.
Kind of. Or NASCAR race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, I learned something
Interesting,
there.
that's what you went to.
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking karate, but they do
Yeah.
the same thing.
All right, well,
Did you say Veterans Day run was?
Dontel, the chamber and everybody that, was involved in putting that together, thank you for that. Lot of great comments about the venue and the organization is all very good, so, thank you. Anything else?
Our meeting, Public Works and Utilities and General Government Public Safety, will be on Tuesday, November 12th, because, what?
13th.
Tuesday's the 13th.
Tuesday's 13th.
see, this two-month meeting thing's throwing me off. I was here 2 Mondays ago here for the meeting.
No, that's
Tuesday, November 13th, because we observe Veterans Day on the 12th.
Yes.
We are city hall is
November the
closed.
13th.
Do we need to talk about that IT thing?
Oh, we went out for proposals on IT. We received 2 bids, or 2 proposals, and that's it. So we will
Will we get
probably
together?
reconvene the technology committee and,
Okay.
get their opinion.
Perfect.
And, we heard anything about the new website design, or is that part of that?
That's part of that.
That's part of that?
Well, no, those
No,
are two
it's-
separate.
Well, it's
it's
two separate
different
things.
things.
Two separate things.
And that deadline is later.
Have you gotten any?
No. I received an email, they had some questions, but that's it.
Okay.
Sure, we have people doing it. This is the last one. What's that?
Oh, no, we're accepting proposals to redesign it, you know, get us something new, up to date.
Yep.
That's what we need to talk.
Make a motion, we adjourn. Second?
I have a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all very much. Have a great evening.
Good time.
Good work. That is gonna be effective
Yeah, that's what comes, yeah. And then whenever, like, we need a little bit of time, if you talk to her, and then make it, give her a deadline to get all of their city files back.
Do you wanna talk to her? Do you wanna talk to her?
I'll talk to her.
I'll call her tomorrow. Some time. Using the files, usually if we need to send them address wise, or if I need to go and get them in Memphis or wherever I can.
Does the mayor need to call her first?
The video.
I would expect we need to
Yeah.
get the phone call.